All right, you guys, here we are once again. We've got Mike CUROTTO and our good friend Dave Brown. Everybody knows Mike. I call him the King Snare Drum Collector, and rightly so, because once again, he's blowing us away. Look at the entry he's got this year. Mike, you're just fascinating with these drums. I don't know where you get them. I've seen this finish before, and that's what makes this so rare. Why don't you tell us all about where this came from, what the finish is? Give us the story, Mike.
Well, so far as I know, this came from Bunny.
Bunny Carlos?
Yeah, I've seen it over the last couple of years, but he decided to sell it, so we did a pre-deal before the show.
I see.
And he calls it terracotta for lack of a better word, because of the terracotta has that square-like thing.
I have seen this in some literature or in some of the
Well,
past
that'd be good.
books.
I love it because it looks like streak opal, but it's
Right.
And I thought it was a later model of streaked opal, but Bunny came back with a great rebuttal. If it's a later model, how come we haven't seen any more?
Is there a chance, do you think it could be a streaked opal prototype?
It's 35. It's October of 35 is the drum. But Joe Loma calls it streaked opal squared.
Yes, Joe is a character. We're going to be talking to Joe a little bit later, but this came from Bunny.
Yeah.
Now, inside, if you take a look inside, where is our signature?
Well,
We have, there it is right there. If you can get a shot there. There's Bunny likes to sign his stuff.
That's
I bought a Elite Black Elite years ago from him, and he signed a head for me. He just likes to do that. Now, in case you didn't know, Bunny, and we'll be talking to him later, he's the drummer for Cheap Trick, but I know him as a mega uber drum collector, just like all of us here. We're all obsessive drum collectors, and Mike CUROTTO actually demonstrates that with these beautiful, very rare finishes that he gets, and he likes to collect things in sets. Isn't that true, Mike? We've talked to you over the years, and you've presented us with just some fantabulous sets, like the Ludwig collection that you did, and this just adds to the many things that you send to me, maybe once or twice a month. Guys, Mike puts together these pieces of his collection, and he writes about them and puts articles, and you don't get to see them because some of them get published.
But on the forums, and I write for Not So Modern Drummer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fortunate enough to be on Mike's mailing list. He has a little elite group of collectors that he sends these fully finished articles, and they're just always fascinating. You can see them on Mike's page on VintageDrumstalk.com. Mike's got 3 pages now going, and it's just continuing. He sends me maybe one or two of these. Just here's the latest edition, and he tells about everything he's done to the set, all his methods of cleaning. But this, Mike, what do you think you're going to do to this? Anything?
Oh yeah, I'm going to take it apart and get my little grubby hands on it and
Yes.
clean it all up. And
Authorize it.
what's a nice little bonus to this, as of yesterday, this is the only one we've seen.
Right.
That's not saying that there aren't others. I would never be that presumptuous to say
Right.
but this is the only one so far. Well, 3 days ago, I get a nice email from Doug Carrington with the caption, "Thought you'd be interested."
Yes.
Same exact finish in a Leedy Broadway standard. Thanks. So that's coming tomorrow morning. So now I got the only 2.
Same exact finish. Here we've got Ludwig Imperial lugs, and you're telling me it's on a Leedy drum?
It's the X-Lugs.
Okay.
About
Okay.
1935.
I
See.
see.
They were owned by Kahn, right? So
I
You
see.
know what's going to be interesting about that? Like when you get that drum in comparison and put it at the side of this
Yeah,
one,
we'll see.
and see how the finishes differ.
This will be very
If at all,
interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Now,
So-
these are the Imperial lugs, but
The
are
tap.
these
The tap.
are the tap
Yeah,
lugs?
so-
Why don't you explain to our audience what the tap lugs are, the difference?
Yeah, from what I know, the anniversary year is 1935, and they came up with this new lug called the Imperial lug, but they tapped it, which means the tension rod goes right into the lug, which is not the greatest design because it strips out. Slingerland did it too with their
Broadcasters.
the broadcasters, the Streamline lug.
Yeah.
Streamline lug, and it tapped out,
So
which
if
is
you-
which is an interesting thing. Leedy had their 2-screw and 4-screw with inserts
Yes.
in the 20s. So hello.
Weren't they the first to come
Yeah,
up with
I
the
think so.
floating or whatever they call them,
Yeah,
inserts?
yeah.
And they solved that whole problem of stripping out the lugs, because once you stripped it out, I don't believe they retapped them. They just have
Right, but I do have the fix.
What is
There's a thing called a helicoil,
Yes. Okay, I know what you mean.
1224 helicoil, And you just got to make sure you get a guy that knows how to install it, but that's the fix.
So it's
right?
basically a threaded
Yeah,
insert.
yeah. So one of my articles I wrote, don't let stripped imperial lugs be a deal killer. Buy the drum and negotiate accordingly, but the fix is a 1224, it's called a helicoil.
Now, Mike, as you see this drum right now, if you were to give it a grade,
Oh, okay.
where does it stand right in this condition?
I'd say the finish is probably a 7.5 out of 8. Yeah, because it has the ivory,
Now, because we haven't seen this live, I've never seen it live, would you say this is slightly yellowed, just like
it's
white
ivory,
marine
yeah.
pearl?
Yeah, I'd say it would be.
Okay.
Now the one Doug showed me is whiter.
Okay.
So
Do you do anything, like I do some fixes on white marine pearl, but I don't let that up because it's a very dangerous thing to do.
right,
You can ruin your drum. Do you have
some people use the buffing wheel, and me on a buffing wheel is not good.
not on pearl?
So
This would be pearl,
I
right?
use I use the McGuire's number 10 cleaner and number 17 polish.
Yeah.
Or number 17 polish, number 10 clean or whatever.
Well, the badge looks very good. This is a
And it's
fantastic.
right at that stage just when they were coming out of the oval badge brass into the white enamel, so it's right at that transition.
Tell us about the strainer, Mike.
They call it the professionals clock fate. I mean the clock because of that.
Right.
But it's called the professional strainer. These are repos, so I got the real stuff
Now,
at home.
very
so-
often, the first thing that goes on
Right.
these either get lost, they get bent, they get the knobs get stripped out. So these are the first things that guys start to make repros of. And Mike, seems to have a plethora of
I
these.
got a stash of those.
He's got guys out there in California. What is it? Avenue Plating.
Yeah,
those guys.
exactly, yeah.
They do wonders for you.
Yeah, little parts I need, but AK, the guy in Italy. the
Yes,
guy that-
he's talking
he-
about Adrian Kirchler.
His repros are dead on. They're so dead on that on the back he stamps AK, so you know that they're real.
And we'll be
Otherwise
talking.
you couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, we'll be talking about those repros a little later when we talk to Mark Cooper. We're going to do our roundtable with Bunny Carlos. Only this year we're adding Mark Cooper, and we're going to be talking about Mark's. Basically, it's a Slingerland Black Beauty, but we don't want to call it a repro. It's an artist model that Dave provided with him last year. We'll let Mark tell you all about it, but it was done by Adrian Kirchler, who does these fantastic spot-on reproduction fabrications of these early, hard-to-find parts. And we'll talk about him a little later, but technically, this is
I'd give it a good 7 out of 10. When I'm
Okay.
done cleaning it, nothing needs to be replated. I can just clean it and make it look nice. It'll be an 8.5.
Okay, so once again, before we go, the model of this drum is a.
It's a anniversary model, standard. But I got something else to show you unless you want to do it later.
We'll be right back with Mike Corrado. He's going to blow our minds once again with even something more fantastic. I'm not surprised. It's so typical of Mike. Mike, we'll see you in just a little bit. Dave, we'll be right back. The show is just starting. Don't go away. We'll be right back. VintageDrumsTalk.com.